welcome to Close Up with the Hollywood Reporter. I'm joined today by Jane Levy, Amy Sedaris, Elle Fanning, Tiffany Haddish, Jamila Jamil, and Robin Thede. Thank you all for being here, and we're going to dive right into this. We have all spent a lot of time at home in the last few months. What do you guys feel like you've learned about yourself during this time?
I've learned that I am a filthy, filthy woman. Not in a fun sexual way, in like a really unhygienic way. I'm going sometimes 5-6 days between showers. I also didn't realize how comfortable I am, like by myself, or at least with my boyfriend. That sounds terrible. He's with me. I'm not completely alone. But I've learned that I love him even more than I thought I did, because this is really when a relationship gets tested. But also I've learned that I exist very comfortably in confinement. This suits me. This is my teens all over again. I've been training for this my whole life. This is good. I'm good. I like it for me. Sorry for all of you.
I got a question. 5-6 days between. Are you at least wiping where the sun don't shine?
Am I doing the sex work as well? Yes, I am.
Okay, good. At least that. I feel like you don't have to submerge your whole body, but as long as you hit all the spots, the hot spots. Because you with your man, you don't want to hit him with the whoo-ha. You don't want to hit him with that whoo.
I've learned not to be so set in my ways, I've learned to appreciate, I'm not even joking, tongs, kitchen tongs. I don't know what I ever had against them, but I'm obsessed with kitchen tongs now. But I've always cooked and cleaned, and I'm a homebody. But I've learned, I was prepared for this, like the Girl Scout in me. I had everything. I wasn't out desperately trying to buy stuff. The only thing I hoarded was hay for a rabbit. I have a 7-pound rabbit, and I hoarded 30 pounds of hay. The only thing I didn't have was a thermometer, but I used her rectal thermometer. The rabbit's rectal thermometer take my temperature, but I cleaned it and everything. But I just learned,
and I'm good. So it don't matter.
I've learned a lot about resiliency and people's collective resilience. Like, if we would have been told 3 months ago, which we were, that we were going to be inside for this amount of time, maybe what if we were told that? We were told that. But it was such a daunting idea, and we've done it. And I feel like, and just how collectively to take care of one another, to not go outside and to wear a mask, not just for your own safety, but for the people that you come across.
I've learned that I am way more emotional than I thought I was. I'm actually really sensitive, and I guess because I always keep busy and go to work and go be active with friends. I'm always doing something every single day to be told to stop and sit and be still. Then that leaves me with my thoughts. And my thoughts are off the chain. And then I start to get all in my feelings. And then I'm like, why am I crying? And I think I might be a little bit, got some issues in here because I've been doing stand-up comedy shows to the plants. I am an addict for laughter, and when you are by yourself, I've been playing YouTube videos of babies laughing, audience listening to my old comedy tapes and stuff. I need it to function, and so when I don't get enough of it, I cry a lot.
Laughter through the tears, yeah.
I can relate to that. I can relate. I think I'm I'm a very antsy person, and I always want to go, and I always want to be thinking about the next project, the next character, this story, that thing. So I guess I've learned this has kind of slowed me down a bit, and I've been with my family, and my grandmother and my mom and my sister were all together. So, that's a lot of emotions and a lot of commotion going on. But having the family time again, and kind of teaching myself to relax and breathe a little bit, because that's hard for me to do. I like going.
Totally. I get that totally. Yeah, I think for me, I've been able to learn that I'm a little more domestic than I ever thought I was. I mean, I always liked to cook, but I never had time. I never did my hair, and I went on YouTube University and learned how to do all sorts of styles. I'm very proud of myself. Thank you.
It looks good. Yeah.
But I've been cooking. I basically host a cooking show with my family every night. Call them up, and they'll go, "What are we making today?" And I'll walk them through the recipe, and they'll do the same with me. So it's been a really, as hard as this time has been for so many people, I think those of us who are lucky have had a chance to reconnect with loved ones, and that's been really nice. And I think that I haven't learned, but it's been confirmed that I'm incredibly lucky and incredibly grateful for the friends and family that I have.
Yeah, I think gratitude is a big thing for all of us. We've all started to really appreciate, especially seeing what's happening everywhere on the news. You feel so lucky to be somewhere comfortable and safe and have loved ones who are safe. I also think I'm never going to shake hands with anyone ever again as long as I live. I can't believe we've been doing that. The amount of times a hand has just been on some sort of dick and then we've touched it. And we have a penile imprint on our hand, and we've just been allowing that. I've been alive for 34 years, and I've
don't even think about the dick. What about
dick on my
somebody
hand.
else's coochie?
I'm always thinking about shit. People that don't wipe. That's what I'm always thinking about. Always, because that's everywhere. It's everywhere.
They got
everything.
Something smells funny.
All those in favor of handshaking being cancelled, say aye.
Oh yeah, cancel the handshakes. Cancel.
I miss hugs. I need a hug so bad. I miss hugs so bad. Like I need 15 hugs a day. I think that's why I do comedy, because comedians always hug each other, like when they see each other, because they know how hard it is to be on stage. And I haven't had a good hug in so long. And I give, like, my brother gives me hugs, but that ain't the same, is it? Where's my little brother?
For a lot of you guys, this is the first time in years where you aren't sort of constantly in motion, project to project to project. In this sort of moment of reflection, do you think it'll change the sort of professional choices that you make from here?
No, I don't think for me. I mean, I'm a writer and a showrunner as well, so it really hasn't slowed my days down. I've just shifted to all my writing and producing projects and, you know, focusing on getting my show back to work as safely as possible. So I'm incredibly busy, but I don't think it will really shift much. I do think there's a period where we're gonna have to consider safely working and how, especially for performers, how you perform without PPE, you know, all that sort of stuff. That's a huge concern for me as a performer and as a showrunner. But in terms of the work I take, no, I mean, especially once there's a vaccine, I feel like I hope everything will be back to normal, but people will just be more aware given the events of the world and what we're talking about in our social conversations. But in terms of the mechanics of the business.
Are there different stories sort of in this moment that you want to tell?
I mean, my stories have always been centered around the experiences of Black women in comedy, so I'm already telling the things that I wanted to tell, and those stories will continue, so I don't think it'll change much. And I don't really think the world wants to see a bunch of like quarantine movies after this, but that's just my personal feeling.
Tiffany, you were nodding to suggest that you might choose differently.
Oh, I'm definitely choosing differently. I'm definitely gonna make sure I have at least, I'm gonna plan out my schedule, because I've been napping and I think naps are magic. So definitely I'm putting in my contracts that, like, when we get back out there, I have to have a 1 hour nap. That means nobody talking to me, nobody trying to, hey, look, can we go over these lines? What are your ideas about this? None of that. I need 1 hour to shut my eyeballs and zen out. Like, I need my naps. That's important.
Unplug.
Super duper important. And I'm definitely going to be telling different types of stories. My comedy definitely has evolved. Because I've had time to watch myself do comedy, because like I said, I've been in the backyard talking to the plants and doing comedy for them, which I'm calling plant-based comedy.
How will it change both the stories you want to tell and what's funny?
Like, everything I do is going to bring joy, right? But some of the things that I want to start talking more about history, right? There's, you know, they don't teach Black history in school, and so I feel like it's very diluted and people are very confused. So I want to start doing things that represent Black history, and not just the slave stuff, because we passed all that, okay? We've been there, done that. If we've done a lot of really awesome things as people, and it was and like the thing that I feel like people don't understand is all people are awesome, and you can't be awesome without others. There has to be like something that pushes you into being in your greatness, right? So like, I would love to do a movie about FloJo. And I've been running like every day on my little treadmill, getting my mind right, like in channeling FloJo. I want to remake Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I want to do something like that. So, you know, that's part of why I've been talking to the plants, preparing myself, using my imagination. See?
Did the plants greenlight your project?
Oh,
Did you say what?
grassroots.
I said, did the plants green light the movie?
Oh yeah, it's greenlit. It's happening. Honey.
good.
It's happening. I know
It was a
FloJo
plant
happening,
pun, green light.
I
It
don't
was
know
bad.
if Who Framed Roger Rabbit happening, but maybe I'll do something else in that realm of live action and cartoons together.
I would love that.
How about your comedy? You mentioned your comedy would evolve in this moment. How so?
Well, you know, in my comedy, I want my comedy to be educational, yet entertaining, informative more. You know, like in the past, I've talked about things that I know, sex, and my trials and tribulations. Now, I want to talk about other things that I have learned while I've been sitting in this house. I've been reading books. I've been reading this book, The Color of Money, okay? Black banks and the racial wealth gap. I want to talk more about money. I want to talk more about politics, like I don't really know a lot about politics, but I know politicians. Talking about that more. Just in like the changes of the human body. Like I'm 40 now and I am noticing all kinds of changes, and probably I wouldn't notice it if I was busy going all the time. So I'm stationary and I'm noticing my body is playing tricks on me. So I'm gonna be talking about that.
What about the rest of you? Do you think the choices that you'll make, having had this moment of reflection, will change at all? And if so, how?
I think the industry as a whole is going to change, not just the way that we make film, especially in the next couple of years, but also I think the stories that people want to hear. There's been a huge shift in our societal narrative and what people care about, and no one cares as much about the influencers or the flashy stuff or all the money. And I think, you know, even celebrity has turned into something that people went from glorifying and loving and aspiring towards. Suddenly there's this like visceral animosity towards the privilege, which I think is completely understandable. And I always thought it was a little bit weird beforehand that people would glamorize and aspire just towards that. Not to say there isn't loads of privilege that comes with it, but I think we're kind of entering a moment where people don't want to see that stuff so much anymore, and they want real stories told. And I think we've also, because the world has come to a standstill, we are hearing more human stories than we've ever heard before. So I think I'm hoping that for women, the material continues to evolve, because that still needs to be done. A lot of men still write more interesting and informative and nuanced roles for extraterrestrials than they do for women. So we need more female writers, we need more women execs. I think that needs to change. And I think also we definitely need more representation. We need stories that aren't being told to burst onto the screen. And I think we've heard in so many different ways the public are done with waiting for the media to catch up with where society's at. So I'm hoping I will see more interesting scripts at my door. And I think that is just my mega fun answer.
What about you, Amy, Elle, Jane?
I mean, I agree with everything everyone's saying, but inside I still want to be really silly and I want to laugh at shit and make fun of people. I mean, you know, I don't want that to go away either and get so serious about stuff. You know, maybe a new character for me will come out of all of this, but you know, exactly what everyone else is saying. I mean, it's true.
I got something for you, girl. I got something for you. Just make sure your imagination is on point.
How do you guys feel like Hollywood sees you? If a casting director were to call, what's the role that they most commonly sort of bring to you?
To sort of answer this question and the last question, well, first of all, I feel definitely changed in this moment, and how I think will be revealed to me over time. Our show came out during the pandemic, and our show is a musical, and it's full of joy and silly comedy, but it also has this theme of grief. And a lot of audience members have connected with me on the internet to say that during the pandemic, the show offered them great catharsis, like cries, tears from laughter, and just a great distraction and entertainment. In the past, some of the things that I have done in my career that have like made the most money have been horror films. And thinking about maybe having a horror film that came out in the past couple months, I feel like I would feel less like my art had offered something to people in this way that I felt really was meaningful. So not to poop on all horror films, because I still like watching them, but I think that maybe veering towards like projects that are really full of heart rather than just violence or gore. Obviously, that's part of storytelling. But for me, I just felt like it was a really gratifying thing to hear that our show offered anything to people during such a hard time.
I think you've said that horror is sort of taxing on your nervous system.
Totally. Screaming and crying, and also like, sorry to be so dark, but like every horror film a woman is raped, like it's I'm kind of over that.
We got to start raping men in these horror films. They got to rape some dudes.
Okay.
You're right.
Fucking hell, Tiffany.
Let's change it up. Let's change it up, ladies.
Equality. That's feminism. Feminism is equality.
Elle, what are when roles sort of come to your door, and obviously you were now shifting and trying to and producing your own material, but how does Hollywood what's the lane Hollywood wants you to be in?
I mean, right when you asked that question, I was like, boop, I know, like it totally like stuck in my head. But I mean, when I was 14, I was cast as Sleeping Beauty in Maleficent. And that moment definitely changed my life and like the trajectory of also differentiating myself like apart from my sister and being recognized as myself. And that role is very important to me, but also I think it's a Disney princess and, I'm this blonde, it comes with a certain stigma, right? Like, and I think people probably that's the biggest movie I've done, so people know me sometimes most for that film. I think for me, what was exciting about The Great, getting to try out the comedy world, because also some people are like, they think of me, like serious or doing dramatic roles or just playing the kid. And I was like, okay, like getting to do, stretch my comedy chops was exciting because I feel like I'm a very funny person in real life, and people are like, wow, you're funny in the show. I'm like, thanks. Like, yeah, so I think for me, it's just constantly challenging myself, and I love surprising people. I love shocking people and proving to people that I'm not exactly who they think I am. So, I mean, I think being in this pandemic, like Jane was saying, is like my show came out at that time as well. And I was proud of that. Of course, it's very raunchy and crazy and out there, but it's touching on very modern themes and things that are happening in the real world and are quite serious themes too. So I was proud that it came out at the time and was on the right side of that conversation and was still escapism and entertaining. So I think for me, and even thinking on a producer side and putting on another hat, which is always something I've been interested in, but just looking for more roles that do that, I guess, if that makes sense. But I'm happy. I mean, this is huge for me to be like I'm like comedy actress roundtable. Like I've never been in the roundtable, and then like for comedy, I'm freaking out. Like this is super cool. So this is new. I feel like a new chapter for sure.
What about the rest of you? What tends to sort of come your way?
You know what's been coming my way a lot lately? Always the mama that's been through something, whose kid ends up getting hurt some kind of way and fighting for the justice, and I'm trying to get out of jail, or I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I know people that live that. I'm not doing that unless it's super, super good. The writing has to be impeccable, right? And a lot of times it's like telling these stories that could be powerful, but the writing is garbage. So no offense to whoever's out there watching this right now and knows what I'm talking about.
They know.
I get sent a lot of very sexual roles, lots of a woman who has, what would be described, I guess, by the writer as too much sex. And, that tends to be one of the ways in which we show nuance in a woman, that how her life is complicated is in how much she drinks and how many people she sleeps with. And so that's been something really strange to me. I mean, it's fine. I love sex and stories about it, but I find that is overwhelmingly, I am either the sexy girlfriend or the annoying girlfriend who derails the protagonist, the male protagonist's life.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of that always being the case. And I've been watching so many films during lockdown and realizing how often that storyline comes up, that a woman is there to instigate difficulty for a man, and she doesn't really get to be the great comedian. And so I think that that is something I would rather, I don't want to be someone's sidekick, and I don't want to just be someone's fuck toy in a film. I want more complex and more nuanced roles, especially within comedy for women. And I think that we are coming into a great moment, but that can't be where we stop. We have so much more to do, so many more stories to tell, because women are amazing and they are hilarious and they are filthy and complicated and interesting. And I guess, Robin, that's also why I love your work so much, because of how many different layers of women you show.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Robin, what are the stories you felt like you previously couldn't tell, and how in this moment might that be changing?
Oh, I've never had a problem writing or doing what I wanted. I think for me, I don't think Hollywood does see me, to be honest. I don't get sent scripts. I don't get random calls. I don't audition. I create shows and I act in them. And for me, that's just been the way it's been for the many, many years I've been in this business. I was never that girl. So for me, writing was the way that I got on shows, and then creating my own shows with the vision for what I wanted to do. A Black Lady sketch show is the 7th sketch show I've done, but the first that I've created and been in charge of. So in terms of those characters, it's like, I never had any restrictions on what I was going to do, even when I was in late night television, and now that I'm back in my sketch home. I never had any restrictions on what I wanted to do, because I was the person who got to say yes or no. I mean, the network always had something to say, but they bought the show, so they knew the vision. So I'm incredibly lucky in that way, and exactly what Jameela was saying and Tiffany was saying about, and on all of us really, about writing and getting projects where you're like, this could be really good, but the writing is so bad, or it's from the wrong point of view. I took charge of that, and luckily I'm able to do that, and I have that skill set, because everyone, can't. But I have been incredibly lucky, and I've also worked really hard to be able to create stories that I want to see on television. And it's so cool to be able to take 4 Black women on this sketch show and do what has never been done in history, have a Black woman director, all Black women writers room, all Black women cast, and be able to play over 100 characters in 6 episodes, have 55 celebrity guest stars in 6 episodes. Like, people just want to play. It's a playground where we haven't been able to come together before. And Tiffany, we still waiting on your schedule.
Well, it's wide open right now. It's wide open.
I know.
Let's write a sketch where I play a white woman in history. Okay? Let's redo The King and I. Since they had a Russian man playing the Thai king, let's do I'll be the white woman in The King and I. Let's do it.
Well, sadly, I think that'll have to be on a different show. We don't really cover that kind of material, but
You don't want to remake white classics?
I certainly don't. There's plenty of other spaces that can do that. I do stuff that can only be done by Black women, and I think that's what's so cool.
Well, then let's
that's
do
what's
Cleopatra,
so dope.
Elizabeth
Okay,
Taylor,
you got it.
Cleopatra, because that was actually, okay.
Perfect.
What about you, Amy? Do you feel like Hollywood sort of has you in a lane, and is it the lane you want to be in?
I'm with Robin. I'm not really in a lane. I'm not really on Hollywood's radar, really. I'm more off a little bit under the radar, which is what I like. I like to spearhead my own projects, get the people I know involved in it, and put on a show, and kind of stay out of the way. Sometimes a script will come my way, but it's usually a character. I'm always like, well, does this make me laugh? Will I have fun? What am I going to look like? Who else is involved? Do I really feel like getting on an airplane and flying, to go do it? I mean, all these little elements play into it. But I'm like Robin, I like to create my own things and get the right people involved. But it is funny when a script does come to you. You're like, what, really? And then, oh, they give it to Claire Danes. I'm like, of course,
Did anyone else get sent that script that had a woman who's a police officer undercover, and the part she's playing is a hypersexualized bimbo as her undercover role, and she has to say to 2 of them, in fact, you know what, this is actually too filthy to say on this interview.
No.
I think it might be okay.
Keep going.
At one point, one of the lines,
I
mean, I got sent this by my agents, but one of the lines in the script is when she's telling these 2 men that she wants to feel both of their cocks slapping together inside her mouth, which begs the question, how small are their cocks? How big is my mouth supposed to be that there's room to come apart
when
and
do you start
slap
shooting it?
together?
What was the gross
and
part?
The gross part was when I say, I want you to cover me in your man milk.
I didn't see that one.
This script
Man.
was written by a very, very famous actor, and a lot of very big names went up.
And
for
you're
it.
starring
I
in
was
it.
Wondering if anyone else.
This is your next project, right?
covered in man milk. This is the kind of shit people think that I want to
You
say.
making a
on
porno.
Yeah,
Steven
that one.
Spielberg's
It
taking a
wasn't
weird
even.
turn.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop talking now. I just wondered if anyone else had seen that.
That's amazing. No, but that's fascinating. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that honestly, when I was a few years into the business and I just wasn't seeing the results as a comedian and as a performer that I wanted, I really was like, okay, I'm just gonna write. I'm gonna write and write myself into stuff. Because it was like, you see stuff like that once or twice and it's just like, come on, we can't
demoralizing.
make a living this way. It's totally demoralizing. Well, and black women honestly don't even usually get sexualized unless they are like a sex worker or a dancer or something like that. But black women usually are the opposite, where they're just not sexualized at all. Like they never have sex and they're not attractive. So it's like it's kind of both sides of the coin, you know. And it's tired. Those stories are so tired. Those characters are so tired, and they're not real.
Tiffany, has that been your experience, and is that changing at all?
You know, when I first hit the scene, you know, I was offered a lot of roles where they want you to expose your breasts. They want I remember that one movie that Chris Rock did, and it's like he meets the two girls and they have like a threesome, and then Cedric gets in there and they like he's like supposed to like bleh, all over their face or whatever, like, you know, just let that baby batter go all over their face. And it's like, Tiffany, they're offering you the role. I was like, I don't want that role. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I don't let people do that in my face in real life. I don't want that baby batter facial in real life, so why would I do it in this movie? Like, you're going to have a little bit of respect for me, period. If anything, I shoot my juices in his face. But I'm not doing that to me, okay? Period. You're not going to disrespect this. For God made this face for a reason, and you're not going to disrespect it. Now, when it comes to being in my lane, though, like, definitely, I feel like sometimes my representation tries to get me to go outside my lane, and if it is against my morals, and I do have some, I know I'm a little wild, but I do have some morals and some standards. And if it goes outside of that, then somebody might get fired. If you try to push me into something I don't want to be dealing with, you might get fired. Because it's like you disrespect me. You work for me, and it's like I'm a company, right? I'm a brand. And if you try to push that brand outside the lane, but it's like against the policy of the company, like you might not need to be working here no more. So, you know, like my people, we have weekly conversations about where I'm at mentally, what I want to do. And right now, almost everything that I'm doing, I'm producing. Some of the stuff I've written on, like I do not play. My lane is big. I got a 5 highway lane. You know, I'm even opening up a grocery store. I'm not playing out here. I am going to be a mogul. I'm creating generational wealth, and I have morals and standards, and I'll be damned if anybody makes them sway.
But I want to see you in roles that are like, I want to see you in a loving relationship. I want to see you, whether it's a comedy or drama or whatever. Like, I know what you can do. I've known you for decades. Like, I want to see you in something where we actually get to see you, you know, like you said, like that role where we'll leave that alone. But yes, but I want to see you with the baby batter. But you know what I mean? Like, I want to see you. I want to see all the dimensions of you. And do you feel like those things are coming your way?
Those things are definitely coming, and I've done some of them. They'll be coming out sooner than later.
Good.
I don't know if y'all noticed, like the way I've been moving, every single thing that comes out is like, it's me, but it's a different version. Like I did the Madam C.J. Walker story. That was a period piece, and that was a way different version of, you know, what people normally think I would do. When I did The Kitchen, you know, that was like a more dramatic piece. Then I hit you with some comedy like a boss, you know, like I'm moving, because that's how I am in real life. I move, I sway, like, and I play. But wait till you see the movie I got coming out with Billy Crystal. You're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Elle, I'm curious on the Great. There's obviously, we were just talking about about sex on screen. There's a lot of it, but in your case, it's the nudity is much more the men than the women. I'm curious, how does that change a dynamic on set?
Catherine the Great in real life, she was a kind of the first woman who was slut shamed, honestly. I mean, the whole horse rumor was created because she loved sex. She was very open and had multiple lovers. And so that's obviously our story is not a historical document, but a lot of truths are in it. And that's a big part of Catherine's character. So sex, is incorporated in the show a lot. And just her first wedding night is not exactly, it doesn't go to plan how she thought it was going to be. I mean, there are a lot of things to talk about here because of course it's a period show. So we're corseted up with multiple layers of skirts. And so just the logistics of actually getting naked for the women, it takes a long time. So it's like everyone's kind of just having fully clothed sex. Like, all right, girls, like we're gonna just lift up your skirt, and like, that's fine. There was an intimacy coordinator on set, which I have never had. I don't know if any of you guys have had that, but that was very new to me. That on a show, a woman that was there to make sure everyone felt comfortable and also made sure that the sex looked real. So there would be times where Nick, or whoever, the guys would be in the wrong position. It's like, it doesn't look like you're doing it, or just like simple things of like, maybe you should, wipe your hand off or like these little details that you don't think about. But I do love that our show is very sex friendly and it's just a part of it and it captures Catherine's journey too, because she does get a lover and that's more passionate and the sex with Peter is not at all. So, and it was hard to keep a straight face during those scenes with Nicholas Hoult. He is so hilarious. And I would be like biting down on a pillow when he's like having to thrust and say these lines or just like, I can't take it seriously. I'm happy that I had someone that I felt comfortable with and we could actually be like embarrassed in front of each other. Like that was something that was new for me with comedy. I think it's so important to embarrass yourself, go for it. It's fine. And he was a partner that I was like, let's just try to embarrass each other and challenge each other. And that made everyone feel much more, safe and supported during all those scenes.
I like to call that dare to suck. Dare, just take a chance. Dare to be horrible. You actually might be great.
Dare to be horrible.
Yeah.
I could never do that. I could never do anything like that. Like
What,
sex
a sex
scenes or get
scene?
naked or pose in your underwear. I just could never. It just doesn't interest me. It's not
But
fun
that's
to
the
me.
part I wrote for you in this movie.
I don't know. Yeah.
But have you seen that wedding night scene that she's talking about? It's so funny.
So
it's
good.
so
So
funny. It's just the
funny.
first episode of The Great. It's so good. It's so funny. And she gives this amazing, Elle, you give this amazing speech right before what you think it's going to be. And then it's totally not that. Oh my God. I cried laughing.
Oh God, thank you. That means a lot. Laughing at my sex, thank you.
Amy, one of the things that you hadn't done until this show was play yourself, and it was something so you hadn't been interested in doing. Why not, and how did you ultimately get comfortable?
Because I realized that I was the odd man out. Like, even though I was doing all the characters around me or people would come on, I was like, oh, I'm the queer one. I'm the one nobody really likes that much. I'm the straight person. So somehow that gave me a hook to play. But I just have more fun playing characters and being other people and looking completely different. It just seems like you're playing like you did when you were 5 or 6 years old. And that's just what I enjoy doing. And I just can't imagine ever getting tired of it.
One of the things you've said about these sort of characters that you play is, if I'm going to be in the makeup chair, let's get ugly for it. Ugly is so much more fun to play.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love playing hideous. I mean, if anybody's seen my show, you know I never look like myself. I play men. I play bald-headed, like 150-year-old people. I play everything. I love just hiding in those characters and being able to don those different looks. And the funny thing about our show is we don't actually do a ton of we don't do any prosthetics, actually. It's all done with pretty minimal makeup. But the hair is a big part of the transformations, and also just making really smart and quick makeup choices because we shoot our show really fast. But yeah, whenever, the uglier the better, man. I love it. I love playing men. I love playing hideous people.
Plus, it gives hair and makeup a chance to be creative. I mean, everybody, even I did a small part on The Mandalorian, And I was like, okay, just give me a mullet and take my eyebrows away. But the guys who were doing it were like, most girls come on the show and they want to be pretty. They want to look exotic or pretty. And I'm just like, I'm not like that. But everyone had so much fun because they got to make me look ugly.
I also, I really hugely object to how much time they make us spend when they're trying to make us look nice or glamorous. And after season 1 of The Good Place, I objected. I took the producers aside and I was like, nah, an hour and 45 minutes? How ugly do you think I am? An hour and 45 minutes? What is this, Avatar? I was like, I'm doing my own makeup. So I said, I'm doing my own makeup. I know how to do it. I've had this hairstyle since I was 2 years old. They even made a little Tahani doll of me, this company, in my hair and makeup look. And my hair and makeup was the same. I was like, I want the same amount of time as the boys. This is a comedy. I need to turn up. I need to be funny. I can't be funny if I'm tired. I'd rather be funny than look perfect or look utterly glamorous and glossy. So I got the same hair and makeup time as the boys. So it's 25 minutes in and out, and I got sleep, and it infinitely improved my performance. I couldn't remember my lines when I was tired. It's a crazy thing to put, especially on comedians, I think, is the idea that our sleep and our memory and our timing and our energy isn't important, when I think that's the most vital part of us being able to show why we should have women more and more so in comedy. We can't do that. We can't be funny when we're cranky and tired. I'm a bitch when I'm tired. I'm not funny.
Jane, your show is one that sort of walks this tonal tightrope. I mean, you can go from some singing and dancing to bawling and back in 20-something minutes. Are you more comfortable or more at ease in one versus the other? And how do you sort of balance that?
A lot of people have asked me this question because, like you said, the show goes from slapstick, sometimes farce, like clowning. There's a song that I had to do that was like completely physical comedy and talk about being embarrassed. I was like, if I don't do this all the way, it's gonna fall so flat. So I have to go all the way. But for me, I approach a comedic scene the same way as I approach a dramatic one. I guess it's just like an energy shift that like I couldn't really explain, but there's like a tempo to comedy, there's timing, but that's more, it's sort of like I just have to get into the mood. But I technically speaking, I approach the scenes the same way.
Is it easier to laugh or cry?
I am a crier, so it's not like it's hard, it's definitely more painful. Laughing is more fun. But I've been thinking a lot about fantasy since Tiffany brought up Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's my favorite movie, girl. I could do a whole thesis on it, okay? TED Talk.
So good. But and talking about being ugly and being evil and playing characters, for me at least, the most fun part about acting and making television shows and movies is like the fantastical element. I'm not interested in watching shows or movies about people who look like me and sound like me and just like go about my life the way that I do. I want to see something greater. So I think comedy in some ways fits into that world. I don't know, hearing all of you guys talk about that, I was just thinking like imagination and blowing things out bigger and fantastical realities are more interesting to me as a performer.
Robin, I'm curious, the shift to a Black Lady sketch show, it is not at all topical. You have obviously your prior projects, your more recent ones, have been in the late night space, having to consume the news 24/7 and have a point of view, and one that you have to have sort of humor brought to that. How much was this sort of decision to move away from that by design? How much of that sort of task of trying to have something to say that is and find humor in these moments weigh on you?
It weighs on you a lot. And, I was doing it for 5-6 years straight with Jon Stewart and Larry Wilmore and Chris Rock executive producing my late night show, but I was show running my late night show. I was the only person on it. I had no correspondence. I was head writer on the nightly show, managing a huge department and a big show and consuming news 24/7. Everything from Ferguson to the Charleston shooting to Trump being elected. We got canceled on the nightly show right before that happened, and then my late night show came on right after he took office. So, I think I had not let up in any of that pursuit for many years, and those kind of years are like dog years. They kind of feel much longer for people who have to live it every day. So for me, I knew my next project after my late night show got canceled was to go back to my roots in sketch and to affect change differently. It wasn't going to be me coming on TV every night talking about my opinions about politics and pop culture, but it was going to be making a revolutionary statement by the existence of this show. And I think this show is political in its nature and in its existence, and all of the firsts that we've created, but also in the fact that it's just good. It looks good. It's funny. It's hilarious. Like, I'm just so proud of it. It's the thing I'm most proud of in my career, and I have a lot to be proud of. Like, it's just the thing that, for me, that shift felt natural. It felt like a return to home. I really wanted to be in hard comedy that was scripted and didn't have anything to do with politics. We never mentioned politics on the show because we think that the political act is existing. And in playing all these characters and being able to play Black women like you've never seen them before. And so I think for me, that was the way I knew I could do my next step in the work that I want to do.
Tiffany, you've sort of called yourself a joy ambassador. I think I have that terminology correct. How challenging is it to sort of play that role in this moment? Obviously, we are in the middle of a pandemic, but if we weren't and you had a show to do this weekend, how do you be funny in this moment? Can you be funny in this moment?
It is very difficult to be funny in this moment, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had a show this weekend, I would light that stage up. And I'm an administrator. I'm an administrator of joy. Ambassador, that's administrator. I'm delivering it. I'm presenting it, right? If I had a show this weekend, though, I know I would kill it because I would just talk my truth. I would talk about the truth. Like, people are asking, Tiffany, how can we solve this? What action moves can we do? What do you think we could do? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But I know when I have problems and I want them solved, I just stop having sex and everything's solved. So if everybody just stop having sex, especially if you in an interracial relationship and your man is white, stop having sex with your white man. Things will change. If you a white woman and you got you a white man, stop having sex with that white. When a white man ain't getting no sex, things change. That I know for a fact.
I actually thought it was because no one's having enough sex, and that's what's making everyone so cunty.
That ain't why. That ain't why. That ain't why. See, sex is power. Now you take the power away, and he want that power. Now he walking around with blue balls. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially in a black man, he not getting no sex. He gonna team up with the white man. Look, brother, we gotta figure this out. Okay? The women ain't having sex with us, and I don't want to have sex with a man. I mean, I did it before. I don't want to do it again. Look. We got to figure this out. We got to make it right. I'm telling you, things would change.
Jamila, I want to ask, you came to The Good Place. Your background wasn't necessarily as an actress per se. At what point in the run of the show did you feel like you were an actor?
The Good Place was my first ever audition for anything. I'd never, ever acted. I mean, when I was 6, I played Oliver's mother, like on stage at school. So when I was asked by the casting director if I had any acting experience, I was like, I did theatre in England. And I was referencing my pre-9-year-old school plays. I guess it was probably sometime through season 2. Season 1 was really hard. I mean, I think generally as a woman, you have a tendency towards imposter syndrome. So when you are literally an imposter, someone who's never acted, surrounded by veterans and people like Ted and Kristen, and even my supporting cast have all been working for about 2 decades, I felt so unworthy of being there and so stressed that I used to comfort eat my way through the entire of season 1. So I was almost concentrating on how much gas I had rather than how nervous I was having to act face to face with Kristen. I would avoid eye contact with her for the first 7 episodes. I used to try and look at someone else while delivering all my lines to her because I just couldn't look her in the eye because I felt guilty for being there. But I think over the course of spending 16 hours a day with Ted Danson and all of these great actors, just studying them day and night. By season 2, I'd started to find my confidence. I think I still have so much to learn, but the joy of Mike Schur is that he's someone who writes those interesting, complicated, nuanced roles, especially for women and for people from ethnicities. I wasn't the typical South Asian, like, hello, I drive taxi cab, I am your doctor, the only kind of roles that we ever give to South Asians historically. He just wrote me as a person, as a human, a complicated, tricky human who's playing out her childhood trauma in her adult life, which is all of us. And so I think that I got so many different parts of Tahani that I was able to play. She went through such a huge emotional journey and period of growth throughout the 4 seasons that I think I've left there feeling like I have definitely more skills than I went in with, and a stronger digestive system.
Elle, obviously, acting is something you have been doing for decades, but producing was the new piece. You, like Catherine the Great, sort of found your voice in this process. What was that process like? What did you find were the things that you wanted to speak up about, and how did you get comfortable doing so?
It was because I had produced, I guess the first thing I produced was a Netflix film. It was called All the Bright Places, and that was a book that I had read, and was kind of, I did it with my friends, and it was a learning experience on how to kind of get involved more, because I think I was a child actor, young actor, whatever that term is, but I've grown up on film sets, and I think there was a part of me that I've always been so interested in everybody's job and so curious and just I want to tell my own stories, or not that you're a puppet, but I mean, just the editing room, for example, learning how that works and how scenes can change so drastically just from a music cue, or, whose close up you're on, and just little technical bits like that, was something that I learned from this experience. And with The Great, that was a script that came to me that was written by Tony McNamara, and who wrote The Favorite. And I hadn't seen The Favorite at that point, so I had nothing to compare it to. So it was even more surprising for me at that moment. But it was a film script at first, and he came to me, wanting me to possibly be Catherine, and it being a TV show. And I've never done a series before, so that was new. And also to, hop on board and help kind of collaborate with him and go do pitches. Like, I've never done a pitch. Like, that was new. Going to, the different streaming services and sitting in a room, and kind of, I felt like a circus. Like, everyone has their little spiel. Like, okay, you're up next. Like, say why you're passionate. It's like, this is so it was like pulling the curtain back. Of, just the inner workings of everything, which I absolutely loved. And I would watch, the dailies every night. I would watch all of the edits, which was interesting. For me, I don't know if it's because I was a kid actor growing up. I loved watching myself as a kid in movies. I thought it was the coolest thing. Like, a kid and you're watching yourself giant on a screen, like, yes, like, I loved it. So I think that maybe has stayed with me a bit, that it doesn't affect me watching the edits so much. I can kind of separate myself from that. So I got to really have that experience and learning to speak up. I mean, in the beginning, you're on phone calls. Yeah, I mean, you're on phone calls that you're not normally on. You're hearing things that you don't normally hear. And there would be times in scripts, or, I mean, I'm trying to be specific, but just in general, things that I wouldn't agree with, of edits that I wouldn't agree. And sometimes I wouldn't speak up, like in the beginning. Obviously, it was a 6-month shoot, even that was just the shoot. So then there's the post-production and everything. But those moments, I learned, much like my character, I grew in confidence. And then by the end, I was on those phone calls like, you know what? I don't care. I have these notes. And I just learned I've been in this business for a long time. I technically started when I was 2, I was like, I do know something. And it was a very, it was a proud moment, just kind of coming into my own in so many different aspects of my life, of being able to say your opinion, and to argue. Like, it's okay, get into arguments about it. Like, we need to talk it out. And if you don't say your point of view, like, no one's going to know. You have to use your voice. You have to say, and like you have to. So I learned that was just like this character was huge for me. And this show is so dear, but it also just as a human being, like made me raise my voice more and makes me want to, get to be behind the scenes more. Now I'm like authoritative. I've grown for sure.
You referenced the horse sex rumor, which is obviously something that has followed Catherine the Great. And I'm curious, sort of, for you guys, have there been points in your careers where you felt misunderstood, where you felt the need to sort of have to clear up a misconception? Tiffany, your
I didn't know where that question was going.
I did not have sex with no animals.
Has there been a point in your career where you had sex with a horse? No?
Never.
All right, just
I
for
did
anybody
have
can
sex
answer.
with a man that had a horse-sized dick, though. Like a little pony.
Tiffany, your special starts with this, with you saying some version of people think they know me. People think they know everything about me. And I'm curious for you guys, what are the sort of, have you felt misunderstood? And what is the process of trying to sort of correct that? If in fact you feel that that's necessary.
People come up with crazy stuff to say about you, okay? They look at you, and I feel like they put their own little crazy thoughts on you, and then they create these stories I think it's for clickbait or whatever, but I can't stand that. So, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, and when I make them, I claim them. Yes, this is the dumb shit I did. Yes, this is the stupid thing I said, and that. But if they make up stuff, now people be making up stuff, then that's when I use my fake account and I attack. I attack viciously. And I reach out to my little unicorns and I'll be like, get them, y'all, get them. Just like Beyonce.
I have quite an interesting experience because I choose to use my platform to be very vocal and a little bit loud, a bit much about certain social political issues that I have that I take issue with. And I think a lot of people think I'm Tahani in real life and that The Good Place is a fucking documentary, and that's just who I am. And they think I grew up with loads of money, and they think that I have this really privileged, perfect upbringing, which couldn't be further from the truth of how I came up in this world. But they just assume, and also because she loves philanthropy, but she does it for show, people assume I'm in philanthropy just for show. And it's like, this speaking out about things that are stigmatized doesn't help your career. It doesn't make people think that you are easier to work with. It doesn't make people think that you are not a liability. It costs you working relationships. It costs you, I attack giant power structures. Like who would do this for fun? It's not fun, but it's something that I personally choose to do with my career. So I think people tend to start, as like Tiffany was referencing, people start rumors when there isn't enough controversy, especially, with women. We see this in this industry. A woman is given sort of like a year and a half of grace where everyone loves her and they love her and we love her. We saw it with Jennifer Lawrence or Anne Hathaway, like all these different famous women, where she gets a year and a half where everyone loves you, and then you kind of get overexposed to death. And then just like this perfect cycle, the drag begins, and we see it one after the other. And so I am definitely kind of like experiencing that cycle, but thankfully I'm old and I've been in this industry for a long time, and I knew it was always coming. But people start to tell really vicious rumors, especially about women. And that is something that I find so extraordinary, because they're not allowed to take us out and kill us anymore. So they discredit us. Discredit is the new death. I think if they feel like too many people are listening to a woman, or she's breaking too many glass ceilings, or making too many changes, she's stepping outside of her little box, people think you're dangerous. And the reason, because they can't get rid of you, they just destroy people's opinion of you, which I think is super
I like when they make
interesting.
up stuff
And
about
so
me dating
annoying.
somebody, when they say that you're dating somebody, but you're not dating them. But then that person starts calling you because they like, did you start this rumor? You're like, no, I didn't start this rumor. The next thing you know, you dating them, and you like, hey, thank y'all for starting that shit.
Do you feel like you haven't gotten roles because of, or you've lost roles because you've spoken out?
I think some networks where I've gotten involved in HR, if I've seen bad behavior and I have taken it to where it's supposed to go and alerted people. I think they've definitely become like a little bit afraid of working with me because I am a sort of professional tattletale. I'm a whistleblower, but I don't think it's affected me. I don't think it's affected me career-wise when it comes to Hollywood. I mostly think it's impacted probably the sort of like brand relationships, all these different things, because I'm trying as hard as I can to stick to my principles and not work with problematic people. But as we're seeing, everyone has got some sort of blood on their hands. Everyone is problematic. Everyone's difficult to work with. And so I wonder what the state of things will be after the pandemic now that everyone's kind of shown their ass.
I'm gonna do a very hard left turn with a final question, which will feel very light in this moment. But when was the last time you guys were genuinely starstruck?
I've been so quiet today. Like before we even started like filming, I was sitting over here like a serial killer because Tiffany Haddish, I'm like fully starstruck by you, like a full body reaction. When I watch you on screen, you like explode. Like I have never seen a performer like you in my life. And when I saw you on here today, I was like, I don't think I can speak for the next hour. And I haven't. I am such a big fan of yours. You are so dynamic. And when you talked about being a joy administrator.
Yes, administrator, yes.
I was like, yes, you are. You make me feel like alive when I watch you act. I am such a fan.
You're gonna make me cry.
Amy, who makes you starstruck?
I get starstruck even from the manager of Bigelow's. I mean, I get starstruck by people's mothers. Any guest we have on the show, I'm starstruck. I'm so scared to work with them. I can't believe they said yes, and then I'm working with them and I'm like, oh my God, I'm working with David Allen Greer or Ann Dowd. I mean, what am I going to say to, it's hard. I'm very shy that way. I mean, I can be out sometimes, but I just get starstruck by, everybody.
I love watching famous people. Like, I got to go to the Met Ball and I'm just like looking around at everyone like crazy. And what popped into my head was J-Lo and A-Rod who were behind me sitting. And like A-Rod was like videoing everything. and J-Lo was dancing to Cher. I was just like, what is going on? But like I was observing them very hard that night. I was just like, what are they doing? I was starstruck then.
Two big moments for me. When I met Oprah Winfrey, I did pee on myself just a little bit. And that was on TV for everybody to see. That was embarrassing, but it was the most wonderful thing in the world. And to hear her validate like all the hard work that I've put in, it was just made my heart melt. And then when I met Barbara Streisand,
wow, yeah.
She gave you a bat mitzvah. I believe you have a.
She gave me a diamond Star David necklace. I'm so emotional. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Now, why did she give you a diamond necklace and diamond? Why did she give you a present?
Because I taught her about Cardi B, and we talk and stuff, and I just want her. I want to redo Funny Girl. Like I would love for her to be my mama in it. Yeah. Like I've been taking vocal classes, not real vocal classes, just stuff from YouTube University. But I'm working on it, and like that to me was because she's one of the first women to direct, star, produce, write her own movies. Like to be able to tap into that knowledge, into the way things were then and how difficult it was. It's a lot easier now as opposed to what it was then. And for her to be able to give me her advice and knowledge on stuff and her opinion and who does her nails and like,
That would blow me away. That would blow me away. Both of them.
Everyone who worked on The Good Place, all of the different guest stars that we had in, it was just, I was so creepy throughout the whole of filming. I lost it because I've loved TV and film my whole life so much. It was it's been my best friend and taken me through the hardest moments. So seeing all these people in 3D was just wild. But I think Maya Rudolph and Lisa Kudrow getting to act opposite them and share scenes, I'm done. I retire. I'm actually using this interview right now to announce that I'm retiring. I have nothing left to achieve. But now that none of them gave me any diamond necklaces, now I feel empty. I'm pissed.
You got to teach them something new every time you meet one. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Robin, what about you?
It's same as everyone. I mean, Amy, I can relate so much. I definitely love having a show where we get to have amazing guest stars on the show. I mean, I got to act in a sketch with Angela Bassett, and we had Patti LaBelle on the show, and we had, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, like I said, 55 guest stars in 6 episodes. It's insane. And actually, when I sold the show, so Issa Rae, a dear friend of mine, executive produces the show with me, and when she said, bring the show to HBO, and we went and had dinner with the executive, and I said, this is a show I want to make. And Issa was like, I support this. I want to produce this with Robin. And they said, great, we're going to buy it. And the waitress came over and said, the gentleman has actually paid for your bill. And we looked over, and it was Denzel Washington.
Holy shit.
And that,
love him.
to me, was like, what? Like,
job
my
moment.
full auntie came out. I was like, yes! Like, for me, that was the good luck charm this show needed, as if all the other things didn't already fall into place. But, like, that to me, like, he knew, he could tell, like, we were doing something big. And, like, that was crazy to me. Like, that just blew me away. That blew me away.
I love that, and that's a perfect place to end. Thank you all for being part of this conversation and joining us, albeit virtually today.
Thank you.